Welcome back to the process. It's your boy Ralph. We got a lot to go through here for week 4. Excited to be talking to you guys again about fantasy football. That's what we do here: learn, scout, win, repeat. That's our thing. We follow the process all the way through, guys, from the beginning of the season, pre-draft, all the way up through the playoffs and the championships. So much to go over. We got to cover what we saw last week. There's a lot going on. Before we hop into all that, if you're a first time offender, we love it. Welcome. If you are a repeat offender, you've been listening, glad to have you come back. Love a hard head. You can find us on www.tigerbombsae.com. The process has a page. Click on the process page. You can listen to this podcast there. If you want to do it on the go, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, all that, you can find us, Tiger Bomb Sports Audio Entertainment. Search for that, like and subscribe. Then you can listen to the process as well as all the other podcasts that we have here at Tiger Bomb on the website. Same deal. You click on other pages, see the other stuff. It's pretty cool. If you are a Facebook or Twitter social media type person, at the process, TBSAE. Let's keep in touch that way. YouTube, baby. You watching the video, you get the top 5, unlike people who may just be listening. But you can follow us on YouTube as well, Tiger Bomb Sports Audio Entertainment. All the podcasts are there. All right, that's the heavy lifting. We got to go over what we saw in week 3 before we barnstorm ahead to week 4 and on with our usual segments. So let's just kind of dive into that. George Kittle looked healthy in his return, but was used to block after Williams left with the injury, the left tackle. So something just to keep in mind as we move forward. They'll have to figure out a better game plan if Williams misses time, or else that could limit the upside of Kittle, who's the oft injured guy anyway. Additionally, Alan Lazard went 4 for 45 and a touchdown. That's 2 scores in 2 games. Scored in 5 straight. Longest streak in the league. Has scored in 4 straight at home. Not a bust pick. Taking a while to come along, sure, but we're getting there slowly. Khalil Herbert played the part of Montgomery well. Listen, recommended Montgomery, had him in the cash game. Nothing we could do about that. But the role was exactly what we thought. Highest scoring running back total on the week. The pick was right. Panthers D showed up in a big way. James Winston racked up the second most passing yards this week, despite losing 2 of his 3 starting wide receivers during the game. Not to Chris Olave, just showing up and showing out. He's going to be a guy now. Love to stretch the field with him. We know James is going to look down there, right? So that seems to be a nice pairing early on when Winston is out there, as will not be the case this week. Indianapolis Colts, how sweet it is. Mahomes not happy with Eric Bieniemy and that conservative approach, and the ending will only reinforce that stance for him. Wants to kind of take more chances. We'll see how they rebound this week. Miami and Buffalo left it all on the field on the 90-degree day. Can't wait for the return bout. That's the thing. Just the same way you play weather in Buffalo, you talk about snow games in Buffalo and Chicago. Miami's thing is the heat, right? They got you on the sideline with the sun out. They've got you, stretched out all day long. Those guys dehydrated. It's like 90 degrees on the field. It's a lot to take in if you're not used to it. So those guys left it all out on the field. Tough loss of the Lions. Surrendered a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter. Golf couldn't do much to help, but the defense isn't very good. But the offense is fun to watch. There's a lot of pieces to be exploited. Lamar playing to get paid. Lamar Jackson, first player in NFL history with 3+ passing touchdowns and 100 rushing yards or more twice in the same season. He's done it in back-to-back games. Incredible. This was Jackson's 4th career game with 3 touchdown passes, plus 100 yards rushing at least. No other player has done it more than once in their career. We've been saying it from the start of the season. They should have paid him. They're going to have to pay him a lot, but he's going to keep balling out. If you have him in fantasy, ride that wave. Pats and Mac Jones took a step forward, even though Jones is injured and won't play this week. We'll see Hoyer. Burkhead took all 15 snaps on 3rd and 3 or longer and in the 2-minute drill situations. And so beware of that, Pierce lovers. Burkhead's not going away. He has a role. Texans have been lucky with, one of the easier schedules so far this year, allowing them to stay close in the games, but they'll start to get into some tougher games. probably means more Burkhead. Curtis Samuel, 3 carries, 10 targets. Wentz just isn't very good. 10 targets, that's exactly what we wanted. Didn't play well for the cash game, but the idea is there. This is really an indictment on Wentz, in my opinion. Cooper Rush, the first undrafted QB to win each of his first 3 NFL starts and throw for 750 plus yards over those starts. Since Kurt Warner did it in '99 with the Rams, Warner went on to win the NFL MVP that year and the Super Bowl MVP. Something to think about. But Rush has come on. He's come on okay. The Giants claimed Cooper Rush on waivers from the Cowboys in 2020. Then they cut him twice. Um, he comes back. Dallas re-signs him after Dax Prescott's injury that year in 2020, I think it was. But playing at a serviceable level. Jaguars have run the most red zone plays this season. Think about that. We got onto a little bit of Kirk last week, Christian Kirk, and we're going to keep that train going this week. Now that's from last week. Now we can look forward into week 4. And so we've got to start with the Thursday game, Cincinnati and Miami. They said he did have a concussion. They said the week before in the Buffalo game he wasn't concussed. The gang signs he was throwing up would state otherwise. Hope the 2 is okay, but this looks really irresponsible. I'm not going to dwell on it, but I'm just thinking about Ross as an owner and all the different things that keep happening. Paying the coach to lose. They had the offensive line coach to get caught with the hookers and the blow. This thing now, I mean, questionable training. There's a cloud. He's the cloud. Is starting to become an indictment on the team in the ways that they do business. That's the bigger overall sentiment right there. It's got nothing to do with football, but as a Fins fan, sour taste in your mouth for something that we all saw. Don't tell us we all saw it. We all saw it. We all saw it with our own eyes. Scariest moment. So obviously Miami loses the game. He's in concussion protocol, may even just miss a week and come back. I mean, I don't even know what to do with that right now. On the football field, Miami obviously not the same team with Teddy Bridgewater under quarterback if it's him, but easier schedule coming up. He can provide some production if we have to go down that route. Guys, that's what I had to open with you guys with. For week 4, we're going to keep it rolling with everybody's usual favorite segments, starting with a little bit of housekeeping. Guys, we have a top 5 for the YouTube crowd today. Doing things on Saturday, switching it up a little bit. Wanted to check out the inactives and make sure that we were good with a lot of that info, a lot of moving parts. And so happy to do it on Saturday today. You guys can check this out later. Check this out tomorrow before you lock up those lineups on Sunday. But the top 5 that we have this week is going to be the YouTube top 5 is going to be, it's with regards to running backs, guys. Top 5 running backs we wish we could see play today with the teams that they were with back then. Does that make sense? So it's like, here's number 5. Jamal Anderson in the Atlanta Falcons. So if he were to play, so it's like he's number 5 on my list of if they had him today, you plug him in today's NFL game, right? Jamal Anderson, the beast that he was, that they rode to the Super Bowl, 2,000-yard rushing season. I'm saying you put that guy in this offense, right? So no Cordell Algiers or whatever. So that's the name of the game with the top 5 today. And I think they would be way more potent. Obviously, Mariota would be helped out quite a bit by having a weapon like that back there. But just imagine him being a part of that offense. Yeah, I think that, that would possibly be like a playoff team right there if he could slide in there. But just that's the concept with the top 5 this week, guys, is just, that. So Jamal Anderson and the Falcons. All right, moving right along to housekeeping. Not a lot of housekeeping this week because we're just staying the course really. But we're going to talk about some stuff, namely what happened last week. So DFS wise, brought back some money because of tournaments. We've been on it in tournaments, but didn't win the cash games again. So kind of a losing day. Here's the thing I'm going to say about that, though. There's no wavering. Got to stay the course because the time is now. We're gaining more information. I'm taking chances. I'm getting out there, and the results have been proven. So, 2 weeks ago didn't cash because of an injury. Same thing this week. Khalil Herbert goes off for 30. We have Montgomery. If you lock in those 30 points, you know that the offense got with the backup running back, then we're well over that cash line again. So, not gonna get fancy and convince myself I'm doing something wrong. This is a good lesson. This is a really good lesson for when you're having bad luck, but things are going your way, but you're making pretty good picks. And so you want to look out for that positive regression. I'm not going to continue to have the worst luck every Sunday. So I'm not going to be deterred from what I'm doing. I'm going to stay pedal to the metal and not get finicky about it. And I would recommend that you guys do the same thing. If you got roster issues now we got to we got to really dig down and do something about it. Depending on what league you are in, you may be in a no trade league. Let's talk about that for a second. You don't have wins, right? You're 0-3, or you don't have a lot of points, or whatever the case may be. If you're in a no trade league, now you've got to DFS it up a little bit. You got to start playing the matchups each week. You got to play your opponent, look at who he has, ride the wire like that, pick up ancillary pieces to his game. You got to get crafty and get dirty to fight right now. If you're in like a league where it's like no trade, right? But start addressing those roster issues if, like we say, you're at that 3-loss threshold, um, because you shouldn't be there if you don't have 6 wins. That's our formula. You're a problem if you get to 3 losses and you don't have 6 wins. So right now, if you're 0-3, that's an issue. 1-2, sit tight. This is what we're saying, right? Trades. The other thing we need to talk about, trades. Let's get better. Let's get better. If you're in a league where they allow trades, let's be real. Trades are somebody's going to take advantage of somebody. It might as well be us if we're going to be trading. Let's get into it. A lot of leagues, a lot of people afraid to pull the trigger. Fine, everybody sit on whatever. We'll find another way to win. But if you're in a league where people don't mind trading, get in on this. Let's get better. Get better with your trades too. Don't none of this. You're not going to snake oil anybody. You know what a good trade is. We've talked about this before over the course of a couple of seasons, but you have to have value that you're returning. Yeah. You want Ramon Stevenson, you might have to give up CeeDee Lamb. That's the type of stuff we're talking about. These are the type of trades that are available, but you're not going to fleece anybody. Everybody's getting a little too crafty at what we do now. And so we've got to get better with our trades. Make enticing trades. Don't be afraid to get rid of a guy if it's going to make your team overall better. And then let the chips fall where they may, because over the course of the season, it may play out better than you expected. Don't look at the names sometimes, the production, the offense. That's what we want to be tied to. So let's start getting better about the trades. Let's start getting a lot better, taking advantage of that. If your team is struggling and you're actively where they trade and you're not trading, you've got to get a part of that. Even figure out what makes your team better. I'm still convinced that the running back solution can be handled in a couple of different ways, but having that top end wide receiver is paramount. So I traded Jonathan Taylor this week for Justin Jefferson, straight up. It's a great deal. They both have a buy still coming up. They both have positive matchups coming up. I think Jefferson is a buy low target right now. I like the return that I got for Taylor. I'm not upset with that. Um, I've got I've got Khalil Herbert, and I've got Gibson, Antonio Gibson, and then I've got all the Ravens running backs. So I'm not. There's not a lot right there, but I don't care. I have Lamb and Dak Prescott will be back sooner than later. I have Mike Evans who's coming back this week, and then Justin Jefferson in the flex. Life's gonna be good. Life's gonna be very good. That's what I mean when I say, do I really need Taylor? What's in that capacity? What is the upside versus going to get Jefferson? You're looking at somebody who wants a running back. Here is the guy that I took number one overall, first pick. That's how you move that trade barometer. Now we're all bit, it's not like you go take Gibson and see where you get. It's not that. A lot of times people fall into this trap. You want to take your second best player at the position and trade that away to get stronger. It doesn't work that way. Probably trade away your stronger pieces. But what can you get back in return? What does the other person have to mortgage that you need? That's where the marriage comes in. So we got to get better at trades quickly if your team's not doing well right now. Okay, sample size. We got to talk about this. We have a good sample size of data now. So moving forward next week, we can lean on statistics and rankings a little bit more. We have crystallized a quarter of the season by that point. So we can start to rely on these data points as true information as opposed to just 1 week, you know, tryst or trends or whatever, right? And so just an idea to think about as I start imposing more statistical data as we go along. Okay. But right now, the other thing that we need to do, look ahead a few weeks. Make those necessary moves right now if you find yourself struggling. This is the other thing you could do to help yourself out. Don't start worrying about next week. Chances are you're polishing off what you want to do as seasonal already, right? Or you already had that set. Look ahead. That's how, you got to ride the waiver wire a couple of weeks ahead, like 2, 3, 4. Who are you playing soon? Do you know? What does that mean for you? I think it changes how you look at what you need to do over the next couple of weeks. So some just things to be aware of because the season's over for no one yet. Para nobody is out. So we got to keep grinding. That's where you're at this week. That's the chunk to take away this week. So look in the mirror and clean that house. All right, that's our housekeeping for this week. Oh, something in my eye, guys. We can keep the top 5 going though, whether my eyeball falls out or not, or my contact falls out or not. I don't need to see. We can just keep it going. So, top 5, Jamal Anderson was number 5 with the Falcons. A player, running backs that we want to see. There it is, guys. Contact came out. All right. Top 5 players that we want to see, historic players that we want to see with their teams now. So Jamal, that's going to bother me. Jamal Anderson, if he was with those Falcons today. Number 4, Thurman Thomas and the Bills. Oh, yeah, that'd be fun to see today. That power style that he would have, versus that slasher ability of Singletary. But if they had Thurman Thomas in the backfield, how dangerous are the Bills? I mean, he's going in goal line every time, right? Big, strong back, provides some blocking up front for Allen. But those are dangerous RPOs right there, is what I'm suspecting. If they were to have the man, Thurman Thomas, legendary Buffalo Bills running back, with that offense today, that would be incredible. So that's our number 4 guys on our YouTube countdown this week. And we'll just keep moving right along. from housekeeping, over to Would You Rather. So we've got a couple of Would You Rather scenarios for this week. So we'll go over these as usual. 12 to be exact, guys. Brandon Ayuk or AJ Dillon. Now, Ayuk in this matchup versus the Rams, I like it because I don't think, well, listen, I think that Debo Samuel is probably not going to see a lot of coverage from Jalen because of the way that he moves all around. I don't think he's going to travel with him. I think it'll be Ayuk who may end up, getting the travel job, if you will. So I would say his day might be a little more tougher than people are thinking, even though his role is cemented. AJ Dillon, I think, is in a good spot though. They're gonna have to get crafty to win this football game in terms of the Green Bay Packers. So I would take Dillon. Chris Olave or Khalil Herbert. Olave has been great to start the year, but working with a lot this week, going against him. He's got the Red Rocket. Many of the other receivers are missing. Michael Thomas is missing. Landry, I think, is going to play, but he's banged up. And so Olave, he should be counted on more, which is great for him. But Khalil Herbert is in a smash spot. The Bears have been able to run the football, and Herbert should not have a problem against this Giants defense. Um, he's in a good spot, just like he was last week. I'd pick him there. Njoku or Mooney? David Njoku for sure. Coming on strong last week, just doing what they ask him to do every week. I think he's in a great spot this week. He's in a cash game spot this week. Mooney and the Bears offense can't really be trusted. So if these are the choices, obviously Njoku in my mind. Travis Etienne Jr. or Joshua Palmer this week. Listen, Etienne I like maybe a little more than Robinson this week because of the third down and pass catching, and they're going to be playing keep up this week. So I like Etienne, but Josh Palmer has a role while Keenan Allen is out. Keenan Allen is going to be out one more week. I really like Palmer this week too. I would actually take Palmer over Etienne. James Robinson or Rashad Bateman. I'll take Bateman this week. I think Robinson is the lesser productive of the two backs in Jacksonville this week. Bateman, though, a lot of chance, a lot of opportunity in what should be a higher scoring game. I mean, the Bills have a lot of injuries in the secondary. Bateman should be able to have the opportunity to get targets because Baltimore's going to have to keep up. We know Allen and company are going to want to do what they do, which is run and gun. DK Metcalf or Miles Sanders. I like Lockett more than Metcalf this week in the matchup that they have. I do believe that with the way that the Lions want to play man coverage, I think Metcalf will probably be a little bit more of an issue in terms of production versus Lockett. So I'll lean Lockett over Metcalf this week. And so I'd have to take Miles Sanders over DJ Metcalf in this one. Like Sanders, I like the running game against Jacksonville. They got a decent pass rush. But I also like the fact that Boston Scott won't play this week, so that condenses things a bit for Miles Sanders. That would be the guy. Zeke Elliott or DK Metcalf. Zeke Elliott this week for sure against this struggling Washington defense. I like it. Goal line touches, catch passes, all of that versus Metcalf, who we just mentioned. Marquise Brown or AJ Dillon this week. Brown is in a decent spot, but there's too many guys coming back, so I don't know what his role is going to be. Well, I shouldn't say too many guys, but Moore is back into the equation now. Dortch is hanging around. I just don't know what his role will be in a game where they should face a pretty decent defense. I'll take AJ Dillon. Etienne or Brandon Ayuk. I'll take Etienne. Amari Cooper or James Conner this week. I think Cooper can have some success, but he's going to be shadowed by Terrell. I don't really have any interest in that. I'll go with Connor. I like Connor this week. We're recommending him for tournament purposes. He's, he gets 60 to 70% of the touches, the goal line looks. I mean, it's all there. Deontay Johnson or AJ Dillon this week. Ooh, this is a tough one, but I'll say Deontay Johnson just because his role is solidified, and I don't think that he's going to face Sauce Gardner every play. Like Sauce will traditionally just play the left side, and I think that they can move Deontay around for sure, and so that'll be the path to victory. Finally, DK Metcalf or Brees Hall. I like Brees Hall this week. I think he is starting to eclipse Carter as the guy. It's still a committee, but he's the 1-2 as opposed to the two. So I like Brees Hall over Metcalf this week. That's the would you rather that I have. And now you guys know who I would rather for week 4. YouTube top 5 this week. Top 5 running backs we wish we could see play in today's NFL with their teams from back then. Number 5 was Jamal Anderson. If he was inserted into the Eagles offense of today, that would be fun. Number 4 was Thurman Thomas in the Bills. If old Thurman was inserted into the Bills game of today, how deadly would they be? Already a Super Bowl contender, but you add a prolific name like that, I think it kind of shores up some of the issues. No, I'm going to say issues they have at running back, but you guys are getting my drift. Number 3 would be Fred Taylor, the Jaguars. Now, how fun would that be? Look at this team today coming along with Trevor Lawrence in his second year. Finally, they've been a little productive. They've been surprising. We talked about the red zone offense. So can you imagine Fred Taylor punching it in? I mean, that all sounds like a lot of fun. I think having a back like that back there helping you would definitely increase their chances of, coming out strong in that AFC South. But yes, that is number 3 on our YouTube list as we look forward to reload here. And it is that time of the week where we're going to just get into each game and do it reload. First off, got to just, a couple of sentences about the Miami and Cincinnati. Again, sad what's going on with Tua. What happens with the Dolphins depends on whether he plays. Bridgewater, though, has some room to breathe because these next few games, as I said, don't seem to be that bad. Reload on to Sunday, the London game, Minnesota at New Orleans. Now, again, as we said, the Red Rocket not going to play, or I'm sorry, the Red Rocket is going to play because Jameis Winston isn't going to play. And so they do get Kamara back as well. Kamara's going to go. He's going to give it a shot. I don't know. It still seems a little banged up. Minnesota, not all that imposing on defense, but, I think the better path to victory is probably trying to get it to Olave. But I'm just not sure what we're going to see from Dalton. If you have him in seasonal, you can play him and feel fine. I do think that Ingram, if you have him in seasonal, you need to play him in the pinch. I think you could do that. He should probably provide some nice reps and touches. He actually looked more spry than Kamara did last week. That's the problem. So because we already know what he is, but those are your guys there. Jarvis Landry gonna give it a go. If you need to play him in seasonal, that's okay. Cool. Probably staying away from that in DFS world. On the other side of things, Minnesota, I would say Lattimore is probably going to shadow Justin Jefferson. And so, maybe negates that matchup a little bit, but things look good for Thielen. Outside of that, I want to say Osborne as well, because you don't want to attack New Orleans really by running the football too much. Cook's going to play, Dalvin Cook's going to play, but I don't know how successful they'll be on the ground. I do think we'll see some Madison. Madison could even get in the box in the end zone in the goal line area, but definitely, Thielen as opposed to like the tight end or anybody else. But I, this is a game that Minnesota should win. I just don't think that Dalton is going to be able to offer a ton. The New Orleans defense is really good. Minnesota can get pressured. Cousins can get pressured from time to time. But I just think that they'll get better production from the quarterback position and win that game. Reload. Cleveland and Atlanta on Sunday. This one should be a fun one. So Atlanta and Mariota, they've been rather effective, but they still turn the ball over a lot. He has a crazy little Mariota type turnover play every game, at least once. Cordell Patterson is going to give it a go. He's a little banged up though, so I'm thinking more Algiers this week. Tried to play him in DFS last week. It didn't work. I'll stay away this week, but he should be in play. I think the reps that I was looking for last week probably land his way this week. maybe more successful than you would think against a usual Cleveland defense because they won't have Clowney. They may not have Garrett as well, still banged up from the car crash. So, a lot of sort of, decimation on the Cleveland line could make things a little easier to run the football up front. But I also very much like Pitts. It's more like look at what they would do in the slot versus the tight end. Versus the tight end, probably not that good of a matchup, but he'll be in the slot a lot. So I like Pitts. Drake London probably have a tougher day getting that Ward shadow. So I do like Pitts for sure. But also, as I said, Mariota could have a decent day. DFS wise, he's priced so low. If you want to do that in cash games, you can. I probably don't go that route, but it's there. I just think it's going to be popular with a lot of people. On the other side of things, Jacoby Brissett. Brissett and the running game, first of all, will be okay, but I don't know if they'll be able to lean on it. So Brissett will have to do something. I do think Njoku's in play. Amari Cooper probably going to see that shadow from Terrell. So again, I like Njoku. I like Hunt. These are the ancillary pieces that I think could prove important. And then Donovan People Jones will catch a couple passes here and there. If the Cleveland defense can keep them in the game, Cleveland can win this one. But we're going to give it to Atlanta. We're going to say Cleveland's too banged up. We're going to say Atlanta wins at home in the upset. Reload. Buffalo going to. Actually, you know what, guys? Wait, go back. I'm just starting to think that Cleveland they'll just keep running. They should just win. They'll just keep running. Cleveland will win that football game. They'll find a way. I know the defense is hurt, but lean on those backs. I don't think Atlanta can stop that. So if you got them in the season, it'll feel great. I am staying away from them in DFS, I think, but no, let's go with Cleveland. Okay, reload. Buffalo at Baltimore should be a fun one. Was worried about weather, not worried about it now. Uh, Allen definitely in play, using him for cash games. Lamar definitely in play, using him for tournaments. Like Bateman, as I said before, his under routes probably going to be more effective because they're going to have to be, keeping up here. Like Buffalo's going to run with it, right? So Baltimore's going to have to keep up. So you got to like Allen, got to like Bateman, as opposed to Duvernay. Mark Andrews obviously in play. You don't need me to tell you that. It's a tough matchup, but he'll make it work. He'll be in the slot too. And then also, as far as the run game goes, I would abandon all that Baltimore stuff this week. I mean, Dobbins still getting healthy, splitting time with Hill. It would be them two mostly, but I don't know how much success they'll have there. As far as the Buffalo side of things, I like Singletary in the backfield, catching passes. I do like that a lot, but I like Diggs. I think he'll have a good day. I think Knox could get a touchdown. The other pieces, I'm not sure if McKenzie or Davis has the better day, but I think everybody will be involved. Hence, just I like Allen, but I also just like Diggs too. I think a nice bounce back spot for him. They lead the way. And then Buffalo, I think is just going to be too much sauce for Baltimore right here. They're real banged up in the secondary. I think that's a problem for Baltimore. Buffalo's also banged up in the secondary. I think it has potential to be a high scoring game, but I think Buffalo sneaks this one away on the road. Reload. Washington at Dallas. Washington does not sneak this one away on the road. They're a bad football team right now, and Dallas is playing pretty well. Cooper Rush, I like him for tournaments this week. I think he provides a safe floor if you want to go play some more expensive guys. Dallas doesn't really have a pass rush right now. They're not doing much to slow down opposing receivers or run games really that much. So I like Zeke, as I said, around the goal line, catching passes and just minimally having success. Pollard will be out there with success too. It'll be a team effort, but Rush will facilitate it. Schultz is going to play. I'm not necessarily enthralled with him, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was standing around and caught a touchdown. I do like Lamb. I just don't think that he'll be contained. Cooper Rush shown a willingness to go to him and at least find him. He dropped a 50-yard bomb last week, but the looks were there, the touches were promising, and I think that that's going to be a good play this week. On the Washington side of things now, Curtis Samuel again, but I think for tournaments this week, he's got because Wentz is gonna have to go back to him at that low A dot to get to negate this rush and so from the Dallas defense, and so I like it. But as we saw last week, we can't depend on it in cash game scenario because the results are questionable. But we know the attention will be there. McLaurin can't do it because he'll see the shadow work from Diggs, and that'll kind of negate him, in my opinion. And so Of the other two, it's Dotson or Samuel, and I'm thinking Samuel because of the rush. Dotson, if you need to play him in the pinch, you could, but I'd be less inclined versus Samuel, I'd say. And then as far as the run game goes, Gibson and McKissick, maybe more of a McKissick thing because they should be chasing Gibson. I'm not enthralled with using him. I think he gets stuffed at the goal line, maybe. But if you need him in seasonal, you obviously have to use him just knowing he'll get some reps, right? At least I think 10 plus reps. Uh, Dallas, anything else I'm trying to think about them? No, I think that's it. But their defense for sure, cash game defense, Dallas wins the way, led by the defense. That's why I'm not overly worried about the offense. But Gallup comes back, just another weapon out there for Cooper Rush. They get it done, they win. Reload. Seattle and Detroit. This should be a fun one. We're hoping for offense. Gino should be able to activate Lockett, as I said. I think Metcalf gets the tougher coverage. Not to say like the coverage is going to be super tough, but I think the issue will be with him more, and so because he's more treated as the number one, and so he'll get the safety help over top with the double, and I think that frees up Lockett a little bit more, and so I like that. He's quick. He's shifty. He can get to different parts of the field. I love it. I like that a lot. Cash game play this week for sure. Disley could be standing around to catch a touchdown. It's a one-time touchdown thing, so maybe more of a prop thing, but I like that. Rashard Penny carved up the Lions last year, carved them up something nice. I like that again this week. I'm not worried about Walker. He played them so well before, and this team has been so bad against the run. I love him. He's a cash game play this week. As far as the other side of the ball, Seattle not very imposing on defense either now. Okay. So there's a path to victory for Golf and company, even though they're very banged up. Josh Reynolds going to go, but that ankle is banged up. Chark probably going to go, but he's banged up. Uh, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, not going to go. Swift, not going to go. So Jamal Williams will be the lead back. I like him. He'll share time with Craig Reynolds, but I like Williams at the goal line. That's been his role all year anyway. He has all of the goal line touches, none to Swift. So it's kind of like I like that regardless of what happens with Reynolds. Great there. If you want to put it in cash, that's fine. But also in terms of the wide receivers, I would say if I had to have interest in somebody, maybe Hawkinson of the group. Reynolds, I'm intrigued, but I'm worried about the injury. I'm more inclined to the run game. I think Goff will be serviceable. He'll pepper it around, but I'm just not sure. Chark is a real dark horse this week. There's going to be offense because Seattle isn't great. I'm just not sure who it's going to come from outside that running back position. But who wins this game? I'll give it to Detroit because they're at home, and I think they'll be a little bit more aggressive. And Penny's going to try to run over them, but if they can put together a stop or two, they should have a chance to win this game. If it's a shootout, even better for them. But I'll say the Lions find a way to win this one. Reload. Chargers going to Houston. Herbert should be better this week, getting healthier. I don't even think he's on the injury report, which seems weird. He should be on there for sure with that injury with the ribs. But I like Eckler this week. It's a great spot for him. We saw what Khalil Herbert did to this Houston defense last week on the ground. And so Chargers, and they're decimated in the passing game. I mean, down the tight end. They don't have Keenan Allen. So, I do like Eckler, but I like Josh Palmer this week as opposed to Carter, as opposed to Williams. I think Williams will see a little bit more of attention. Not to say that Stingley's great or anything like that, but maybe they give him some help this week is what I'm thinking because him shadowing hasn't been great. If they do just let him shadow again, Mike Williams is going to toast him, is what I'm thinking. But again, Eckler is the one piece that I do like for sure. Herbert, I'm probably staying away in the DFS world just because of the injury, but you got him in seasonal. You want to play him and feel fine about a game that they should win for sure. Their defense hasn't been great, but they should be able to win this football game. The other side for Houston, Mills isn't going to get blanked. He should have an opportunity to put up some points. I think Cooks is interesting. Nico Collins is interesting, but I don't think either of these guys has an incredible day. Damian Pierce will get some work, but they're a limited team, Houston. But they play to lose a lot, is what I see. I don't know where the upside is coming from. Chargers is a get right game for them, a get healthy game, and like I said, I think this is an Eckler game. Chargers went on the road. Reload. Tennessee at Indy. So as far as this, Indy's going to be riding high, coming off the victory against Kansas City last week. But Matt Ryan hasn't been great. He should be able to activate Pittman. Pittman should be able to score a touchdown against this defense. We all like that a lot. Everything else besides that on the offense, in terms of the passing, a little bit questionable. Taylor's in a great spot. They can lean on him. I'm not worried about the injury. I think he's fine. No issues there. And they should be able to run the football. Now they get Darius Leonard or Shaquille Leonard back, then I think that's a little bit more of an issue for Derrick Henry on the other side of the football. But if Leonard does sit at the last minute or something again, then Henry's probably fine. But Indy typically plays Henry well, and if Leonard's playing, I think that's going to keep going. But that's the path to victory. Outside of that, in the passing game, not really on Burke this week or Woods. I think Phillips is coming back. He would see some touches for sure. But it's a game where they're going to lean on Henry. It should be a close game. I think both teams will have a similar type of way of winning this. They'll want to get better results from their defenses they've been getting. They'll want to win with the run, and they'll try to pepper in that pass as necessary. I do think that Indianapolis will have a better path to victory. They had the home advantage on their side, but I think that Taylor is going to be the difference maker this week for sure. I will take him in a game that Leonard is back. As I said, if Leonard somehow sits, then I think you got to move it to Tennessee, and Henry looks really good. But otherwise, Colts reload. Bears at Giants. Bears are not great right now in the pass game. There's nothing to look at. There's nothing to look at in that pass game. Equanimous St. Brown is probably one of the more productive receivers. Nobody's scoring touchdowns. It's nothing to look at. Run game, great spot, though. Khalil Herbert, smash spot again. They've been effective blocking up front, doing what they need to do. I like that. Fields hasn't been effective at, passing the ball, but he's provided some upside with his legs. But again, it should be the Khalil Herbert show. I kind of like the Chicago defense because on the other side, the Giants also passing don't have much. They don't have much. A lot of guys sitting. I think Kadarius Toney is out. Sharp is out now. Richie James is the guy this week, and I think he's in a good spot if you need that somewhere. DFS, I don't think I get there, but Richie James for sure. For Danny Dimes and Saquon Barkley, that's probably the better spot. We saw what Pierce was able to do against the Chicago defense just last week. So, there's the opportunity for the Giants is probably to try to do the same thing as Chicago's, lean on the running back and the defense. This is going to be the NFC version of that Tennessee and Indy game. I think that the Giants will win the game because they have a little bit more to offer in terms of a pass rush, and I think that's going to be a problem for Chicago. I think that Chicago is going to turn the ball over in the passing game. I think it'll give a short field that Barkley and company will be able to take care of. So I think turnovers is the difference in this one, though, and I think it's going to be Chicago providing it, and Giants should win the football game. Reload. Jacksonville at Philadelphia. This should be a fun football game. Jacksonville a little bit better than everybody expecting on defense. They've got a little bit of a pass rush. They've been, decent. They've been decent. They've been playing some interesting percentages of man at times. So, haven't been completely beat, but, they're not the best unit in the world. They want to take a step forward this week. I don't think they'll be able to do it, though, because, listen, Philadelphia's got the best offensive line, period. So this is why I'm recommending Jalen Hurts this week because although Jacksonville's been decent, I think Philly's going to be better. Philly's going to be better this week. And so we like Hurts. I like Brown. I like Devonta Smith, particularly because I think Brown is a little bit of the tougher matchup, but Smith, I think, has the opportunity in the price point in DFS world to get off. But I like them both equally, I should say. I think I just like Smith's price point a little bit better. It's like almost 2K less. But I think he has as much of an opportunity to succeed this week. And seasonal, you play them both, feel fine. But Miles Sanders, as we said, truncated backfield. There's no Boston Scott this week. He's out, so only one other back there with him. So we like him for the goal line touches that should be there. But Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts. On the other side of things for Jacksonville, Christian Kirks, we like it. I do think that for as far as for Philly's defense, the shadow of Darius Slay is probably going to have to go to Zay Jones because he's the outside receiver. They don't ask Darius Slay's shadow into the slot much, and so that's where Christian Kirk plays. I think I'm going to load him up again in cash games, guys, and we're going to go and see what we can get with that. So Christian Kirk, we like in the game that Jacksonville should be trailing. Lawrence has shown he can activate him. I think that happens again this week. Not so high on Ingram against this Philly defense, but he's around. The running backs I mentioned earlier, not so high on Robinson this week because Philly a little tougher on the ground. Plus, I think they'll be chasing, so they'll be passing. So I like Etienne in the pass work and the third down work. But Jacksonville will play better than we think in a game that they will lose and Philadelphia will win because up front they're just that much tougher. Reload. Jets at Pittsburgh. Jets defense, I think, is going to bend, but not break. It should be a fun football game that I think they have an opportunity to win. I can't pick them outright because of Zach Wilson coming back. I don't know what I get with that, but I like Brees Hall against this Pittsburgh defense. The Jets receivers are there, but again, to change at quarterback, excuse me, we don't want to just say that Wilson's going to do the same things that Flacco's been doing. His tendencies will be different. So I'm out on that. I don't want any parts of that in really any format if I don't have to. But Brees Hall, I like that definitely over Carter. And the Jets defense, I'm interested there. I think they're going to save our hides in the fantasy world this week and provide a safe opportunity against this Pittsburgh team that isn't going to blow the doors off anybody, even if they win this game. It should be a close contest. Najee Harris definitely in a good spot. Play him in seasonal if you feel like it. I'm over it in seasonal. I don't think I need to get there this week. I have other ideas, but he's around in DFS if you want for sure. But as far as the receivers go, I'm probably thinking that, as I said, Sauce Gardner probably doesn't shadow Deontay Johnson the whole game because they'll move him around. So I think Johnson's going to be fine. But ultimately, probably the only receiver outside of Fryermuth. Fryermuth much more probable. On the Jet side, as I mentioned before, you may want to be paying attention to Conklin as well as the wide receivers. But again, new quarterback, so who knows? But this is a game where I'm going to say, because of the uncertainty on Pittsburgh versus the uncertainty on the Jets, I don't think the Jets play poorly, but they don't win this one. I think this one is going to be Pittsburgh. Reload. Afternoon games now. We get on to Arizona and Carolina. This should be a fun one. Carolina defense playing a lot better than everybody's expected. And so I want to give them the nod here and say they'll try to keep it close. As far as for the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, I sneaky like him this week in tournaments. I think it's a great play for him. His legs provide the upside we need to help break down the pass rush. I do think that with Rondale Moore coming back to the mix, I'm not sure how the receivers, lay out there. So I don't want to go too heavy and say Dortch or Brown or Moore or whoever, but he's got another weapon to play with, and Ertz is around too. Connor's the thing we want to say for sure. He's getting the goal line touches and the looks, and he should fare well against this Carolina defense, or be fair against this Carolina defense at least. For Carolina side, McCaffrey, CMC is going to play. So says he feels 100%. I don't know how much room there'll be on the ground, but the passing game is where he can obviously provide some, help. I'm not going to pay for that in DFS, and chance him leaving the game or something. But if you got it in the season, obviously roll it out. You drafted him high enough. But more importantly, I'm looking at DJ Moore this week. I think the path to victory is through the air. I like that. I think this Cardinals defense can be had, and Moore is getting the targets of the number one. I know people think they're Robbie Anderson or LaVisca Chenault. They are not seeing more targets than DJ Moore. DJ Moore is not a bad receiver. I think this is going to be the week that him and Baker Mayfield finally hook it up. DJ Moore, I like. Soft price point in tournaments this week. I'm all about it. Definitely my favorite play. I could pair him with Kyler and feel just fine with that. But this is a game where the Cardinals are going to win. I think the defense breaks down late. They get tired, and Murray wins this one for them, meaning the Cardinals. Reload. New England at Green Bay. This should be a fun one. Green Bay, I think. Excuse me, guys. Path to victory for Green Bay. Spread it around a little bit. New England a little tougher on the ground. So you got to try to attack them through the air a little bit. Green Bay has been banged up, though, but they get Wilson back. You've got Lazard. You guys are fine. And so you want to spread it out a little. Lazard, I think, is okay. I'm not going to get overly enthralled with it because Jackson's been playing really well there. So I would probably fade him. But Tanyan, I think, is a great play. Cash games, I think that's a soft price, gives me exposure to the late half of the slate. I love it in an opportunity where I think that Rodgers going to have to get rid of the ball. So it is going to be to Tanyan, I think, to Dylan, and also to I'm not sure why I'm blanking on the other Green Bay running back, Aaron Jones. Sorry. So those are the guys that I think are going to be more involved. Dobbs has a chance to get involved, but I think Rodgers spreads it around so they can keep it close. I don't expect a ton of offense, but I expect equitable offense. Nobody's going to crush. And then on the New England side of things, as far as in the air, I think Devontae Parker gets the shadow from Jair Alexander. So kind of negates him. And then I don't really want to be a part of anything else that they're doing in the air, especially with Brian Hoyer. So the path to victory is on the ground, passing to these backs, getting the ball out quickly. So I do like both running backs. I think the New England defense is in play. They're going to keep it close, and they're going to try to run with the football. We've seen them do this thing before where they just run a million times in one game, right? They did it against the Bills before in that snow game or whatever. So I'm not saying it's going to be something like that, but um, the running backs. That's why I'm interested in the running backs. That's pretty much it from them in the defense. But as I said, on the Green Bay side of things, I would take Tanyan. And then if you have seasonal, the running backs, play them if you're fine, but I stay away from them from DFS. I'll give them the edge because they're at home and because Hoyer is not a very good quarterback. Green Bay is going to win this game. I think their defense finds a way to maybe rattle him. He's not going to, they'll do enough to win, and he won't be able to respond in kind. Reload. Denver going to Vegas to play the Raiders, and I think Denver's on a roll now, so they're going to keep it going. Russ Wilson should have a fantastic day. Raiders defense, not terrible slouches, but the path to victory is probably on the ground. So I like Sutton this week, but I don't necessarily like Jerry Judy. I think it's tougher for him on the outside. Tight end, they haven't really established that in Denver. I think Russ will be fair, but I'm not invested in that price. But I do like Javante Williams. I know Gordon's around. He's healthy this week. He's going to go, but he's been a little banged up. It's Javante. They can run him and rely on the defense that has been really good at a lot of different facets of football. This defense is rounded out. And so on the other side of things, for Carr and company, it's going to be tough running on the ground for Jacobs. I don't think there's going to be a lot of room for him in Bolden. Also in the air, tough matchup for everybody included. Now Hunter Renfro's out too, so fire up Mac Hollins again. I think this is more something that you got to attack Denver in the middle of the field. So I'm liking Waller and Adams, and other two, it's Waller. I really like Carr leaning on Waller this week, but I think that'll eventually open things up for Adams. So it really is the both of them. I don't think I get to Adams in DFS. If you got him in seasonal, play him and feel fine. But Waller, we definitely get to in DFS. That's a great play this week in a game that I think that they're going to have to try to be the ones to, you know, chase the game a little later. So we like that production there. But I think this is a game that Denver wins just off of the running game and the defense. But Russ and company do take a step forward. They're learning the offense. They're learning how to play together. They're getting healthier. All this takes time. So I think Sutton is the immediate beneficiary. This is a cash game play this week, and everything else falls in line a little more smoother. But ultimately, Javante will lead the way in a game that the um, Denver Broncos should win. Reload. Kansas City on Sunday night going to Tampa Bay. This will be a fun one. Tampa Bay has been great against good teams this year on defense. So it's going to be tough sledding for Mahomes and company. They're on the road. I like Juju Smith-Schuster. He's the only really receiver that you can rely on besides Kelsey, those two. The rest of them will have their moments, but it's not something that we could depend on, right? But they'll hang around. As far as the running backs go, McKinnon's outtouched Edwards Hilaire the last couple of weeks. So, I mean, you could dabble in all that if you want to, but I got no interest in any of those guys. It's really the pass game. Mahomes will find a way to keep it interesting, but Tampa Bay is going to be tough. They should be fired up. They're coming off of a loss last week. For Tampa Bay side of things, we don't know who we're going to have at receiver yet. Russell Gage should go. Julio Jones probably won't go. Godwin could or couldn't go. Mike Evans is going to go. But also, the way to attack Kansas City can be on the ground. If you could force them to, not run away with it, then you can, have them on the ground. The reason why they don't really have a good defense against the run is because they don't care about it, because they blow people out of the water. It's not a necessity if you constantly need to score to keep up with them. And so it negates itself. However, the Tampa Bay defense is really good. So I don't think that it's a given that Mahomes goes crazy at all. At all. MVS been a little banged up. I think he's going to play, but listen, it's going to be tougher. And so I would say this is more in favor of Tampa Bay. I like the running backs. I like Fournette here, and I think that their defense shows up. I think that Kansas City's going to lose two in a row on this Sunday night game. Mahomes will try to piece it together in the end, but there's still, I don't, from the offense that we've seen this year, I think Tampa Bay is probably going to be problematic. So unless they blow the doors off of them and return to old all of a sudden, and that could happen if they change coordinators, but I haven't heard they change coordinators. If somebody else is going to call the plays, i.e., Nagy, then, then maybe we could be more confident about that. But I can't do that right now. So I'm going to say Tampa Bay. TB12 finds a way to do it. I know the receiver room is banged up, but he has everything he needs to get the job done. Brate's been coming on. He's been targeting him more. And as I said, Fournette should see plenty of touches, and their defense should be fine. Reload. Our final shot will make it good. The Rams at the Niners on Monday night. The Niners have had the Rams numbered quite a few times over the last several matchups, and so they're not afraid of them. Jimmy G and company know what they bring to the table. As I said, I don't think Jalen Ramsey is going to shadow Deebo Samuel because of the way that they use him, move him up, put him in the backfield. I think the shadow would go to Ayuk, if anything. I don't think that they may even think to shadow him, but Ayuk, could have a decent day, but I think the chances are if he has a shadow, that's probably not going to happen. The more likely thing, and Kittle's going to play and he's going to see touches, and he'll make the most of those for sure. But running the football, Jeff Wilson, I think, that's what San Francisco needs to do here. I do like Ayuk to be productive because they're going to have to play keep up, I think. So I like him. Samuel in his role is great too. I like him. They know what they're doing against the Rams. So these guys are in play in the game that you have to favorite them because they just have found ways to beat this Rams team over and over again, generally. On the Rams side of thing, I think that the San Francisco defense has been pretty decent. They're going to have to run the football. DeForest Buckner is going to be out, I believe, and so that's the path right there. I think both running backs are in play. It's going to be a little tougher in the air, and so I'm a little less inclined to say that they go crazy, but it's hard to not deny Cup anything, right? Everybody else probably a little bit more suspect in terms of the pass game, but I like both running backs. If I had to favor one or the other, I would say, maybe Darrell Henderson this week, but I like them both. They're both in play. The Rams, I don't think are going to win this game, though. I think San Francisco creates parity in that division by getting both those teams to 500, 2-2, because they just had their numbers so often. So Jeff Wilson, Deebo Samuel, IU, Kittle, I mean, all the usual players are there. And I think that they will all play a hand, and the defense will play well. And that's been the thing is last year, we saw Stafford play at a high level for most of the year. We have not seen him play at that high of a level this year. So that could be a problem for them. And I think that's why San Francisco wins that football game. So, guys, that's the reload segment for this week. You guys now know, my game scripts in terms of how I think that it's going to shake down this week. Hopefully that helps you, decide what you need to do in the DFS and the seasonal world. All right, guys, we can continue on with our countdown, and we're going to do number 2 and number 1 together on our top 5 running backs we wish we could see play in today's NFL with their teams from back then. Number 5, of course, was Jamal Anderson with the Falcons of today. Number 4 was Thurman Thomas with the Bills of today. Number 3 was Fred Taylor with the Jacksonville Jaguars of today. And then number 2, Jamal Lewis with the Ravens of today. Jamal Lewis, prolific player. He is still the leading rusher in Ravens history. Over 7,000 yards from scrimmage. imagine plugging Jamal Lewis into the Ravens offense today. They would literally be unstoppable. Having to account for him and Jamar at the same time wouldn't be fair to teams, right? And so that's an interesting one that popped up as number two for me. Just from a record standpoint, the like how many rushing yards could they have in one game? Like what would you be able to do? And then the number one running back that we wish we could see playing today's NFL with his team from back then, Frank Gore and the San Francisco 49ers. We know Shanahan knows how to use running backs in his offense. And so imagine Frank Gore, probably the most prolific 49er running back ever. Imagine him in that Shanahan offense in his prime, chugging it out, man. Oh, that would be a thing of beauty to witness, no doubt. That's our top five for the YouTube, watchers this week. All right, guys. Finally, on to our DFS picks. Then we get you out of here. Talk cash game first. We'll go through all the cash games, then we'll go through tournaments. Cash games. I got three quarterbacks for you. And guys, I was worried about the weather, like I said before, but we come off of those worries. I was thinking Mariota for the cash games, but I knew it was going to be so popular. And I was thinking it's going to be rain in Buffalo. Not going to be the case. Maybe a little cold, but we're not worried about that. So for cash game at the top, $8,400. Josh Allen, you could play him. I do like Jalen Hurts if you want to pivot at $8,200, or you could pay down with Mariota at $5,600. Those are the three quarterbacks I'll be using for DFS, and I would recommend for cash games. Probably Allen for me. Wide receivers, Diggs, $8,400. Lock it in, cash game. Pittman, $7,200. Going to be very highly owned, so I'll probably pay up for Diggs in lieu of that because I want to get away from the ownership. Christian Kirk, $6,600. Talked about the reasons why earlier, so we're going to pound the lock in the button that. Ooh, I can't talk now. We're going to pound that button and lock him into the lineup. Tyler Lockett, $5,900, soft price, cash games. He's going to make things work and should be an explosive matchup versus the Lions. But those are the four wide receivers for the cash games. Tight ends, Waller at $5,600. Lock it in. Best target in a game that they're going to have to find a way to score. I also like Pitts at $5K. Very underpriced. I know he's underproduced, but it can't go on forever. This is the perfect scenario. You guys see, I never recommend him, but this is the week. David Njoku, $3,700 salary saver if you need it for cash games. That's perfect. That is perfect. He should have a fantastic day of production, and you can pair him with Mariota if you want, because that gets you exposure to Pitts through Mariota, but then you have Njoku coming back, because if he's doing something, they're probably going back and forth. So that's the way that works if you want to do that. I probably don't do that. Tanyan at $3,500 is a player that I was initially thinking as a tournament play, but we're going to use him in cash game so we can make Josh Allen work and Diggs work, because you have to get different. I think too many people are going to play Mariota. Too many people are going to play Pittman this week. Too many people are going to play Herbert this week. We need to play Herbert. So I'm looking at ways that we can get different, right? Those are the ways that we're going to get different this week. So speaking of running back, Austin Eckler at the top, $7,700. I like that matchup. I'm interested. I think in DFS, there's just cheaper stuff. I don't know if I go there, but maybe if you want to get different, you could do that, because I think most people will pay down. Jamal Williams, $6,600. Even if Reynolds goes, I don't mind, because he gets the goal line touches. He gets all of the goal line touches. I don't think that changes today. He's not injured, so why would his role change? Javonte Williams. Oh, excuse me. I meant Javonte Williams at 6,600 and then Jamal Williams at 6,100. So Javonte Williams, crush spot, soft Raiders defense. They're going to run him in the defense and work on it and mix in some Gordon, but I like that. Khalil Herbert at $5,700. Crush spot against the soft Giants defense up front. Bears can't pass anyway. They're going to do exactly what they did to Houston last week. So he's in another prime spot. And then Rashad Penny carved up these Lions last year. They've been horrible against the run. He has had some health issues, but when healthy, he has shown flashes, especially against this team. Like I just said, $4,900. You're daring me to. It's. I don't care. It's a free square. I don't care how many other people do it. $4,900 makes everything else pay. Makes everything else work, and it's like a really good spot. he is the lead back. I know Kenneth Walker's hanging around, but I'm not worried about him yet. He flashed a little bit, but I think over the course of the season, if anything, he may take over later. Like, like maybe we saw Michael Carter last year do, where he came on a little later in the season in his split times. Defense wise, cash games, Cowboys 3,500, or we could go Jets 2,600. Like I was mentioning earlier in the show, to save a little bit of that salary. But that's what we're looking at in cash games this week in DFS. That's what's going to take us to victory. And then if we look at the tournaments, guys, there's going to be a few more options for the tournaments because we have a few more lineups. One cash game lineup, and then you have possibly 3-4 tournament lineups. So I mean, I'm going to have more options, but I'm peppering these guys in with some of those sure things too. But do what you want. You're adults. Cash games, or I'm sorry, tournaments, GPPs, quarterbacks. At the top, Lamar Jackson, $8,300. That Buffalo game, so I'll take him as a high tournament upside play because Allen's the cash game play. But Kyler Murray at $7,600. I'm very interested in that. I just think he's flying under the radar. Tournament upside, I love it. And then Derek Carr, $5,800. Very interested there also. Carr is too soft of a price for a game that I think they're going to be trailing, and he'll have to try to do something. So him and Waller, cheap, makes some sense. And then Cooper Rush, $5,300. We want to take a chance. He's a nice safe floor. That price gets us the ability to mix in a lot of other stuff, so we can do that for sure. And then in terms of the wide receivers, Brown, Eagles, lock it in, $7,400. A nice tournament play because if he snaps, that's a great upside right there. So AJ Brown in a good spot. It's a tournament play because of the price. He's very expensive. But CeeDee Lamb, $6,700, great tournament play. Again, if you're going to play Rush, just pay him with Lamb and go crazy from there. But I like his willingness, as I said earlier, to find him all game. Sutton, talked about Sutton, $6,400. We're going to play that. Feel very good about this. Almost was thinking cash game. So I really like Sutton in tournaments this week. Strong tournament play at that price. As opposed to Metcalf, and then Devonta Smith, $5,800 on the other side with the Eagles. So if you want to play all three of them, you can actually do that with what we have this week. Bateman, $5,600. Again, should be peppered with targets in that game. Bills are all kind of banged up. Micah Hyde's already out. Now Poyer's out at safety or banged up. They've got a lot of guys missing, a lot of corners missing. So there should be an opportunity for Bateman, who's seen a lot of targets lately. Curtis Samuel, $5,700, soft price, great ADOT, average depth of target. That's what we mean. We say ADOT. So it's like he's hovering around the line of scrimmage. I don't think Wentz is going to have a lot of time to throw. So we want that short ADOT. So we like Samuel. DJ Moore, $5,300. I mean, if you're going to play Kyler, bring it back with DJ. That makes all the sense in the world. And then Josh Palmer, $5K. Love the price. Great play. I feel very good about this versus Houston. And then Dotson, I'll take a chance on at $4,300. I'll just take a chance if you want to, but I'm not married to that one. If you want to pay on Rush, that's okay. And then as far as tight end goes, Mark Andrews, $7,100, just pay up. He's so productive, and he's going to be in the slot anyway, so it's a better matchup. Freiermuth at $4,200 can be productive. And then also Hawkinson, $4,100. Those guys both, with the defenses that those quarterbacks are going to play, they're right there in their face. They're going to dump down to them quite often. Conklin, $3,600 in play, but again, new quarterback in the Jets game. So I don't really, that's why he has to be a tournament thing. If you want to go there, I probably stay away myself. I mean, you can't deny he's getting targets, but I don't know what Zach Wilson will do when the going gets tough. And then Tanyan for $3,500. You could play him there too, the same as in cash games, because I was thinking he's a tournament play anyway. And then as far as the running backs go, Jonathan Taylor, $8,800. If you want to pay up for it, I don't think anybody else is going to want to do it this week. And so in tournaments, we can definitely separate ourselves and do this. But Connor, $6,300, soft price for the guys getting the goal line touches and 60 to 70% of the looks in the backfield with no real denial from anybody else. Benjamin, a few touches here and there, but that's it. Zeke Elliott, $6,100. Love the price. Had a strong last week. Should be another strong this week to help Cooper Rush take some of the pressure off of him. They will be effective with Pollard and Elliott. So I like the price on Elliott. goal line touches, the catches. It's a good package. Singletary, $5,900 for Buffalo. I love it. Pass catching. Baltimore's been a sieve against pass catching running backs, and so I think that's where they give up production. That's why he can be a good pairing. So if you want to play Allen in the tournaments, maybe play him with Singletary too, or play him with Singletary and Diggs. Just some thoughts of some things that we could do to get different. I'm going to put him on the same level, but at $5,400, I think I'm equally inclined to play Etienne and Brees Hall and take chances on them in tournaments. Brees Hall against this, Pittsburgh defense at $5,400, that don't scare me. He's getting most of the touches. He's catching passes. They will be trailing. I'm all there for it, but again, it's a tournament play because of the quarterback, new quarterback, and then Etienne. They should be trailing against Philadelphia, and he's the pass catching third down back, so we like him. And then besides those guys, I'll take Ramon Stevenson and Damian Harris, $52 and $5,300. Take your pick. Take your pick. Play them together. Take your pick. Do what you want to do. But they're going to have to run against Green Bay. Good defense. Won't be a lot of passing opportunities for Hoyer. They're going to rely on the run. Just run both guys. So probably not a problem to play them. And then for defense, Giants, $3,100 against the Bears. It's going to be some turnovers like we talked about. And then the Patriots, $2,300. I think that's an interesting play too. So for tournaments, that's what we're looking at. Guys, let's go chase it. Let's go to Valhalla this weekend. Let's bring back some money. Don't be afraid. We're on the right path. These picks don't deny themselves. We were good last week and injury took us out. It won't happen every week. So we're going to stay the course and win. You guys know how to catch me if you need me. But good luck on Sunday. And then we'll all just win together and come back here next week and talk about it. Peace.